Greetings, everyone. If you see my face, this is another exciting episode of Bumping and Thumping, your podcast featuring everything about foreign independent wrestling from around the world. You know, a part of the human experience, you spend a lot of it wandering, maybe feeling lost. And today's guest has spent so much time as a lost soul who's wandered through the wastelands as a part of War Inc. But through his wanderings, he's encountered the void, and he hasn't been the same since. When we return from a word with our sponsors, you will heal from the void walker, TJ Meyer. We'll be right back.
The secret to building passive income and generating wealth in real estate is having access to capital to buy those great deals when they come along. One thing most real estate moguls have going for them is knowing how to utilize private funding and where to find it. For those that don't, there's tsquarelending.com. We provide real estate investors of all levels and experience with the means to acquire the funding they need to purchase and renovate, purchase and hold, or refinance properties that they currently own. How? By connecting them with private lenders that base their approval on the appraisal value of the property only, not a credit score. Our lenders feature interest-only loans, approval for a loan in 24 hours or less, no debt-to-income ratios, refi properties after only 60 days of seasoning. Don't delay. Call today. 877-49-LOANS, 877-495-6267, or visit us on the web, www.t-squarelending.com.
To Bumping and Thumping, your podcast featuring everything about foreign independent wrestling from around the world. I'm Annie, and my guest today is TJ Meyer. TJ, how are you feeling today?
Feeling good. Thank you for having me on, Annie.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know, you are one of the people I know whose character development constantly changes, and you find out who you are in so many different situations. That's one thing I really appreciate about you. But what is your first core memory of wrestling, and what moment solidified for you that you wanted to step between the ropes?
So the first time I ever remember watching wrestling, I think I was like 10 or 11, staying up late as most kids do when they weren't supposed to, flipping through channels, and I came across Impact Wrestling or TNA Wrestling. At the time they were Impact, now they're back to being TNA Wrestling. But it was like and it was an AJ Styles match. I can never remember who he was wrestling on that show, but I just remember watching AJ Styles and I was hooked instantly. In terms of your other question, I don't know. I just as I continued watching and like learning about like the bigger independent promotions like your PWGs, Ring of Honors, you know, I watched TNA for like 3 years before I even turned on a WWE show.
Do you think that, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, as I kept watching it and like growing more interested in learning, the more like I kind of was like, I want to do this. And it wasn't until I like looked online to see like how you do it that I came across the wrestling school I trained at. And that's where it kind of solidified it that I was like, I want to do this if I can do it.
And do you think that kid who stayed up way too late watching wrestling, how do you think he would feel if he knew what you were doing now?
Excited, you know, scared about some of the things he's going to go through, but I think in general, you know, he'd be happy where I am at now.
What's the most surprising thing you've thought about yourself, you know, as you're going through wrestling? I mean, you start as one person and then you end up a complete different.
I guess that just how free and limitless the possibilities are. You really are only hindered by your imagination and, you know, in a little bit athletic ability. I'm not going to say I'm the most athletic guy in the world, but you really are just only hindered by your imagination in terms of like who you can be, what you can say, what you can do in the ring, honestly. And I think it's been, you know, a lot of fun to kind of explore or like see things online or on TV and try to figure out, well, how can I incorporate that, or how can I twist that so that it's my own. Like I do it more with promos more so than, you know, I see people wrestling.
I feel like from what you're telling me, TJ, that wrestling allows you to be almost an artistic person, like to express that side of you. Is that true for you?
Yeah, it allows me to express my creativity, and really just kind of be whoever I want to be.
And you know, and you discover who you are in intense circumstances. Like, you know, it's a real act of courage to really step forward and go after something that might terrify you. And I really like that you said, like, we are really limited by our own imagination. And you have to be bold enough to put yourself in those places where you will find out. And, you know, and you make that choice. Do I or don't I? And the only person who can do that is you. And I feel like as someone who walks the void, I feel like that speaks to your entity. Is that true?
Yeah. I look back at my career so far, and even in, you know, 6 years of doing this, I almost six by December. In December it'll be 6 years. But even just looking back at like all the moments where like I would go into a match and it was like all right, either I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this. Either I'm going to do this or this will be the one time I do it and I never do it again. Whether that be, you know, death matches or, you know, putting myself in there with names or, you know, wrestling main events or like different stuff like that, where like I'll try it. And if I like it, I'll keep doing it. And if I don't, I don't. I think wrestling, and I can't imagine myself before wrestling doing anything like that.
And I really love that wrestling is the thing that allows you to take off those human pretenses and express different things about yourself. I think that is one of my favorite things about what we get to do. We get to operate on a grand scale with these things. While they might not be us, they are still one of the highest versions of ourselves. And to be a part of something like that is really cool. I feel like you're just really open to just trying different things, and I feel like that's really important, you know, especially in standing out in an industry where so many people do so many different things. What do you think the ramifications are by not being open as you are? Like, what do you think someone who doesn't know how to try things like you do, what do you think they experience?
I think you can fall into the trap of being complacent. Like it's people's like I had a discussion with somebody about wrestling the other day where like everybody's goal is different. I'm not here to rag on anybody who just wrestles, you know, their local show every, you know, once a month, once a week, and that's all they're happy with doing. I'm not here to say that's a bad thing, but I think if you do have those aspirations of like going on and getting seen by bigger people, then kind of not doing that and like just staying who you are, like you're gonna fall into the trap of being happy with where you are. So and like if you have a thing that's like money and it's making you money and getting you noticed, then keep doing it. But if you've been doing the same thing for so long and you've stopped moving forward almost, you've reached that glass ceiling with whatever you're doing, maybe it's time to change it or even just tweak it a little bit.
Do you think you have to have a strong sense of selfhood to stand strong in the wrestling business?
I genuinely don't know. Wrestling for me helped me find out who I was.
Sure.
you met me when I was an 18-year-old kid who was shy and, you know, didn't really know how to talk to people. And
I remember.
Look at me 6 years later, and I go out there and I'm screaming at people,
Right.
throwing myself all around. Like if you looked at 18-year-old me, he wouldn't be doing that. So
Right.
I think there is a little bit of wrestling will almost help you find yourself if you let it.
You know what? I think that's so poignantly said. Like, that's a fantastic insight. TJ, thank you so much for that. But when we come back after a word with our sponsors, we will be back with the Void Walker, TJ Meyer.
Washtenaw Golfside in Ypsilanti, where everyone comes to play.
Hey everyone, to our next segment of Bumpin' and Thumping, your podcast featuring everything about foreign independent wrestling from around the world. My guest, TJ Meyer. So, TJ, you are no longer the Lost Soul.
Oh.
How did the Void transform you, and are there any remnants of the Lost Soul in your understanding?
So there will always be remnants of the Lost Soul. There will always be remnants of way back to the Mercy Killer. You know, there was even the brief time that TJ Mercer was a thing. There's always going to be remnants of like the past. But the Void has helped me understand who I am and what I really have a purpose here, which is to help those that don't know how to help themselves, or to, for lack of a better term, fill the void in their heart of what they're missing, whatever they're looking for. And that's where, you know, Trevor Stroud and Thomas Bailey came and they saw the vision that the Void had and both knew that I could help lead them to bigger and better things.
Does the Void have a selection process?
More of a nomination process.
Interesting.
I am at a standing where they trust my word.
Mm-hmm.
And until otherwise, I bring people to them and they are either accepted or they're not. And most of the time, it's whether or not they can accept, the person I'm bringing can accept the Void themselves, not so much the Void accepts them. The Void will accept anybody, except for one person, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But anyone can be saved by the Void. It's just whether or not they want to let the Void in.
So what is different in your programming after encountering the Void? How are you different?
I wouldn't say that I am. I'm more, my eyes have been opened, let's say, to just how cruel and easily manipulated people are. I can now see where I was going wrong with the Lost Soul of just being, you know, just happy to be there as part of the Lost Soul. You know, like I said earlier, I reached the glass ceiling with the Lost Soul and I was looking for something to help me, and the Void stepped in and accepted me.
So, you know, last week Trevor Stroud was on the show.
Yes.
I asked him what it was like to overcome such an intense rivalry with you and to end up forming an alliance. He said that an enemy of my enemy is my friend. TJ sees what I'm capable of, and TJ knows what I'm capable of. He approached me, iron sharpens iron. So why not take the two sharpest blades in the room and take what is ours? What happened for the both of you to push this rivalry aside and work together?
Me and Trevor kind of came to an understanding. Originally, it was over how we both felt about Kenny Steele.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get the job done by myself. You know, I lost the last man standing match, or the 3 stages of hell match me and Kenny Steele had.
And to be honest, Kenny couldn't either.
And it was the moment that I saw Ike pull him out that I realized I couldn't do this alone anymore. I couldn't fight the good fight. The Void, I had already accepted the Void into my life at that point, but it still wasn't enough. So I needed people by my side. And the first person I looked at was the first person who, one of the first people I wrestled in New Edge Pro when, they started up. The first person I beat in the tournament to where I won the inaugural New Edge Pro Heavyweight Championship. And Trevor was on the rise and looking for something to help him take him to the next level. And people were just starting to see it, and I had seen it. So I brought Trevor in. And then, I've known Thomas his entire career. And every time I see him, he just gets better. But again, he had reached the glass ceiling. So I kicked it in for him and brought him in with me. And now the 3 of us are doing whatever we can to help spread the Void's message.
What exactly is the Void's message?
We can save you from yourself. We can take you to the next level. All you have to do is accept the Void.
Is it true that the longer that you stare into the Void stares back?
The Void is always staring back. Doesn't matter if you look into it for 30 seconds, 2 seconds, or 20 minutes, or even years. The Void always is looking back and trying to help you.
Does the Void stare out from behind your eyes right now?
Always.
TJ, you have recently on Facebook, you just posted a very distinct message to someone that you will be seeing at Chaos Insurrection on September 7th. There seems to be some contention between the 2 of you. Will you care to explain who that is and what happened?
So you are referring to a man by the name of Paragon. And remember when I said that there is only one person the Void will not accept anymore? And that is Paragon. I have known Paragon my entire career. I met him while I was training. And me and him have traveled the roads together. We've gone to a bunch of different states together. I know Paragon. And somehow in almost 6 years, we've never had a one-on-one match before. So we, agreed to a match at Chaos. I don't remember exactly when it was, but we agreed to a one-on-one match. It was booked, and I showed up just to be told Paragon was not there. Things happen. I understand. First time's all right. Then it happened again, where a match was booked. I showed up, got into the ring just to be told Paragon was once again not there. So then it became more of an irritation, because at that point it became Paragon does not want to be saved. Paragon instead wants to feed his ego and make jokes on Facebook and Twitter about how good he is. So I went to the Void and I explained that I didn't believe Paragon was willing to be saved. They looked at all the events. They looked at all the things he said. They looked at all the things I said and how he responded, and they agreed. Paragon has forfeit his right to be saved by the Void. So going into Saturday, this is now a personal vendetta for myself. The Void has almost allowed me to go on my own with this one. While they will always be watching, they understand that this is something to take care of. And I made a promise to Paragon that if he doesn't show up Saturday, I'm going after the people he cares about. And I've only made that promise one other time, and that was against Dre Jacobs from around the Detroit scene. And
did you deliver on that promise?
I very much delivered on that promise, where I hit his wife in the head with a chair.
But if they don't want to be saved, then why take it out on people they love?
Like I said, this one is now personal for TJ, not just the Void. In that I feel like I not necessarily need to prove myself to Paragon, but need to help him understand that the kid's all grown up, and we may have traveled these roads together, but I just need you to know, Paragon, that I am better than you. And every time we go on the road together again, if we go back on the road together, every time you see me at a show, just to have that thought in the back of your mind that I beat you.
And you know what? He plays the most dangerous game, TJ, and I think that's what you seem prepared for. And September 7th, we will see you two finally go at it, and everyone needs to be there to witness it. But don't go anywhere. We will be right back with a word from our sponsors with TJ Meyer.
Hi, I'm Jay Aubrey Jackson, the $50 computer virus guy in Metro Detroit. We are the home of the true flat $50 computer repair. $50 job no matter how long it takes. Never a penny more. Netbooks, laptops, desktop towers, all-in-one computers, phones, iPhones, tablets, iPads, and game systems. Free diagnosis and money-back guarantee. If we don't fix it, you pay nothing. And we do same-day service within 24 hours of drop-off. And are open 7 days a week, so come to the computer virus guy now.
Welcome back, everyone, to our final segment of Bumping and Thumping, your podcast featuring everything about foreign independent wrestling from around the world. TJ, it sounds like the Void has a very distinctive message. Is there anything that you would like to interpret for the Void at this time?
All I'll ask is, accept the Void. We will do nothing but give you the truth. It is just up to you to do what you will with it.
You have that saying that's you've been sprinkling around your social media posts. Do with it what you will. What does that mean?
So for the longest time, I simply wanted, I said all the time to told people to pay attention. Or do I have your attention now? It's at the point where I'm no longer asking you to pay attention. I'm going to do what I want to do, to who I want to do it to, and I'm going to say what I want to whoever I want to say it to. And if you don't like it, or if you do like it, do what you will. I can only provide you with the information or show you what I'm trying to convey as a message, and at that point, it's up to you whether you want to accept what I'm saying is the truth or get stomped into the dirt.
So what is truth to you doesn't necessarily equate to another person. So how will you help them believe this truth if you can't change their mind? And if they're not open to it?
If they're not open to it, let's say I have more physical means of showing you what I mean when I say, in terms of whatever I tell you. If I say you need to be saved and you don't want to be saved, then I'm going to show you why things are better on my side of the argument, whether that be through words or, again, I'd stomp you into the ground or hit you over the head with the crowbar. So in terms of what is truth, the truth is whatever the Void tells you is the truth. So the Void is never going to lie to you. Void will just tell you what you need to hear. Again, do what you will.
That's a little menacing and ominous, TJ. I'm not going to lie. That's okay. I'm going to take a minute, send myself some good positive vibes because, good vibes only, right?
Yeah, of course.
Wait,
good vibes.
Wait, we don't say that name anymore. Do we?
We can still say good vibes only.
Okay, good. Because I believe in the truth. I support the Void. I don't want any of the voidness over here, please. I like that. I like.
Yeah, stuff to deal with.
Yeah, I like being alive, and I've seen what the void does to other groups. I'm not trying to follow the same path. I'm good.
Good.
So I have one I have one question that I want to ask you. So, what is one piece of wrestling advice you wish was given to you at the very beginning?
Ooh, that's a good one. Be open to change. I went into wrestling school and I got trained with a very strict idea of what I wanted to do through, trampoline wrestling with my brothers, playing the video games, watching TV, what have you. And just very quickly into my training, I realized I couldn't do all of that stuff, or like physically it wasn't possible for me just because I wasn't, the most athletic. Like I wanted to do shooting star presses off the top rope. And it was very quickly I realized I couldn't really do that because I'm not the most athletic guy, or more so I'm athletic in different ways. But it's just like, it goes back to what I said earlier, like, don't let yourself get complacent. And if I can offer one more piece of advice, allow yourself to be uncomfortable. The old saying is, I believe, comfortability leads to complacency. And putting yourself in that situation where you are uncomfortable, and in a good way, not so much, there is a bad version of uncomfortableness, but in terms of trying new things and just seeing how either the crowd or even yourself react to trying the new things you do, allow yourself that uncomfortability. I'm uncomfortable every time I walk through the curtain. Until I get through there, the switch flips, I take a deep breath, and then, there we go.
Do you still think the void is present with you in those moments?
Always. The void is what helps comfort me in those moments.
What does that moment feel like? Do you feel expansive? Do you feel like a part of something greater than you?
A little bit. More allowing TJ Meyer to open up and to kind of take a little peek behind the curtain before I go out every single time. You'll notice like I'm very, very frantic. I'm hopping around, warming up, just moving constantly. That as soon as I go through the curtain, I'm very calm, reserved, and, in the moment, so to speak, if that makes sense.
TJ, what kind of upcoming opportunities do you have, and how can fans connect and benefit and support you?
Yeah. So the 7th, which is this Saturday, I am at Chaos Wrestling Organization, Wrestling Paragon. In a couple weeks, I am at New Edge Pro in Waterford. And I think the week after that, I'm at XICW. In terms of that's just this month, at least so far. In terms of where you can follow me or keep up to date with me, I'm on Facebook as TJ Meyer. You can also follow the Void page on Facebook for any Void updates. I have Instagram, Twitter or X, and TikTok, all under the banner at Real TJ Meyer. Yeah, I think that's it in terms of, I'm on YouTube. Just look up TJ Meyer Wrestling. I believe that's it for all my plugs.
Awesome. TJ, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for enlightening us all on the ways that the void will save us. You know what? The truth could look us in our eyes and we could close them. So thank you for giving us the masses what we needed to know. So, everyone, this has been another amazing episode of Bumping and Thumping. I'm Annie, and this has been your podcast featuring everything about or independent wrestling from around the world. We'll catch you next time.
First.